What's up, VC? This is Brad from H2Vinyl. This is a thread response video to Jeff Party's question of how we listen to our collection, and also how do we bond, or do we have difficulty bonding with albums today rather than years ago. I found out about this thread through Jeff Kempen. Saw his video response and really enjoyed it. Took a couple of minutes to post something, and Jeff kind of talked me into creating a video response as well. So then I went back and watched Jeff Party's video, and I think it's a really great topic. And so I look at this as kind of two parts, where I'm going to be talking about kind of the history of my involvement with music. I'm not gonna really say I was a collector back then, because I mean, music was just a part of what I did. And then what my habits are now, and then I'm gonna talk specifically about some albums that I bonded with, and then some albums that I just haven't, and then what my thought to why that is or isn't happening. So I created a little a little outline, so I'm hoping that I don't ramble, but at the same time I tend to talk, and this may be way too much history and all of that, so I hope this doesn't go on for 40 minutes. But anyway, so looking at my collecting history, again, I say, you know, back in elementary school, I never thought of myself as a music collector, but I listened to stuff that was on the radio, and recorded the radio on cassettes and listened to my favorite songs over and over again. But this stuff was pop music. I mean, we're talking Studio, you know, Studio, or Push It by Salt and Pepper, Peppa, or Walking on a Thin Line by not Hall & Oates, by Huey Lewis and the News, or some Hall & Oates song, or those kind of things. And so every now and then, I think over the course of 4 or 5 years, I had maybe 200 singles. Mom would take me to Musicland, and we would, I would buy maybe 1 or 2 singles. They were $1. How could she say no? I was a good kid, and so I was rewarded with the thing that was on my mind that week or that month. So like Paranomia by Art and Noise, that featured Max Headroom. I was a big fan of Max Headroom back in the day. Things like that. And so my first album was in 1986. I was 10 years old, Raising Hell by Run DMC, and that was actually for a while the last LP that I bought. It was CDs after that, and that was, I was like 6th grade. I think it was 5th or 6th grade. In 7th grade, I got a paper out, which gave me more financial freedom. Not fully. I don't even have fully financial freedom today, but I was more financially free. I could buy things that I wanted. But like I said before, music was something I just did, along with the other people around me. We talked about it. We bought CDs, but it wasn't my hobby. Video games was my hobby. So while I saved a good deal of my money, I did pretty good with that from my paper out, I also saved for video games, because that was the thing that I wanted. It just so happened that music was just a part of me. And so I would say that I bought, just because I was buying video games, I bought maybe 2 or 3 CDs, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 CDs a month. So we're talking between 12 and 30, so let's say about 20 CDs a year. I held that paper out my sophomore year of college. Crazy that I had it for 8 years, and a big part of my listening habit was I had a Walkman, and that was an hour to an hour and a half, depending, my paper route, it wasn't a circle, it was a length. So I went up a street, down a street, back over and up. So I didn't go back to my house. So it was an hour to do the route, and whether my dad picked me up on the way back from work or not, it was an hour and then a trip back home with my dad, or it was an hour and a half of listening to music. And so I would listen to, I listened to a lot of stuff, and it was all the same stuff because I had, like I said, I had probably, 80 CDs, maybe 100 CDs, and really a few of those CDs, maybe a tenth to maybe a quarter of them were the CDs that I actually wanted to listen to at any given moment. Then something I forgot to put in my notes. All of my high school years, I don't remember doing homework. When I got home from my paper route, I would have dinner. I went straight to my room, put on headphones, because a lot of the stuff I listened to was gangster rap, and you don't play gangster rap in my house, out loud anyway. And so I just put on headphones and I listened to my music until I went to bed. Yeah, that was my pastime. It's crazy when you think of it now, but I would listen to like Cypress Hill, Ice Cube, and NWA, and all of these artists, even artists that I don't even remember I had back in the day, because I trashed all that stuff at some point in my life. So then moving forward a little bit, I had a car at the age of 16. Started driving places, and then after my second year at college, I went out of state for college. So now I'm going to school in Oklahoma. So I had drives to Oklahoma a few times a year. So that's 8 hours there, and I had a lot of friends that we kind of caravanned at the same time. So we had 3 or 4 cars going, and we'd trade CDs, and that was just a natural way of learning about new music, was just trading CDs with friends. And then my last year of college, I worked pretty much full time at pizza delivery, and so that's 8 hours, almost 8 hours. I would say probably 6 hours a day of driving pizzas around Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I knew that city so well. I didn't need to pay attention to anything. I could dive into the music that I was listening to, and I did that for almost a year. And even at this time, I had about 200 CDs. I didn't have a huge collection, and this is where I'd like to get into the concept of I was in a rut musically. Now, rut is kind of a negative term. And now I look at it as more of a comfort zone. And it's just music that I knew that I wanted to listen to. And there were days where I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I want to listen to something new. Hey, Tim, can I borrow this? Or hey, Josh, can I borrow this? Hey, what new stuff do you have? And there were times where I even came back from my master's degree. I went to seminary. I came back to my hometown of Iowa, and I ripped, gosh, I think I ripped, each time I probably ripped 40 or 50 CDs from my friend Josh. He was the guy I got my fix for music. Anyway, so that's how I learned about new stuff, and some of it stuck and some of it didn't. Fast forward to 2015 now. My CD collection, this rut that I was in, I would buy albums from known artists and bands and groups, and I really didn't dive into anything else. And so sometimes an artist would have one once a year, sometimes an artist would have one every 5 years. So I wasn't buying much, and so I think by 2015 or so, my CD collection was about 300 CDs. Well, I got the bug in 2015 of buying vintage gear. And in about a span of 3 months, I bought 3 turntables. Crazy, anyway. I had about 100 albums that I had curated, 100 LPs that I curated from about 86 to 2015. And I was like, you know, it's really time to, if I'm going to start collecting vintage gear, I need to have more albums. And so I bought 3 collections. And so in the span of about 6 months, I went from about 100 records to over 2,500 records. And that was a big mistake. Jeff Kempin said in his video and showed a box of records that he needs to get through before he really buys any more. I almost say this with tears. It's 2018, 3 years later, and I am still listening to those 2,500 records. And I'm done with about 2/3 of them, so I think I have about between 800 and 1,000. And here's one of the racks. This isn't all. You'll see the sticky notes on the side of the record rack. And those are the number of albums that are in the shelf. So I think the top one has about 120 or so, or 80 or something. And the next one, and the next one, blah blah blah. So it was my goal. It was my goal for this year to get through all of them. And somewhere in all of the craziness that happened with my cats this year and everything, I got burnt out in doing that. Yeah, so I'm supposed to be grading those. I'm supposed to be determining whether I like them or not, and pitching them. If they're crap, that's not that hard to do. But if they aren't crap, but I still don't like them, to try and sell them. And oh boy, that is tough to do. So anyway, I'm done with this. That's as far as I had gotten, and I'm just going to have to wing it for the rest of this. So where am I going with that? I overextended myself. And at some point this year, I stopped listening to those, because it's a goal. Listening to almost 1,000 records in the span of a year is a goal that I cannot meet. And that stuff is stuff that I might not like. Some of the stuff is classic rock, some of it R&B, some of it, that kind of stuff is cool. But that stuff is far and, what's the phrase I'm looking for? That stuff is few and far between. There we go. A lot of this stuff is Mantovani. A lot of that stuff is 50s percussion. The vibes, the xylophone stuff. Some of it's organ. Some of it, it's just one of those where I'm like, I didn't take the time to really look at the collection and decide, do I really want this stuff? Do I really want this stuff? I thought, man, a great way to find new music is buying people's collections. And so I did it. Anyway, so I'm out of that rut that I was in, this comfort zone. And this last year, it's almost like I've been desiring to get right back into that comfort zone again. The VC has been very, very wonderful for me, because I'm constantly learning new things from you, from Jeff Kempin, from Andy, from Andrew, from Chris. I got into from Paul. I got into something that I never liked doing, and that's starting to name people. And I know I'm going to forget someone, so I'm just going to stop there. From everyone in the VC, I learned something new from everyone that I watch. And that is enough to listen to get on Spotify and listen to. That's instead of carrying around a Walkman, I listen to Spotify in the car. I listen to CDs. Right now I'm driving my parents' car, so I'm kind of hindered. They don't have a Bluetooth system in their car, so I can't really, I'm limited to CDs. And well, on Friday I bought a few new CDs because the main way of me listening to albums is in the car, or mowing the lawn, because I've got chores. I've got things to do. I've got to wash the dishes. I'm a single guy that takes care of everything. And so Spotify is mainly how I listen. Jeff, you mentioned that a lot of the way you used to listen, that you were trying to break out of that habit, is shuffle, not playing things on shuffle. I don't have that. I used to with the iPod, but I really never moved any of my music over to the phone, and I don't play people's playlists. I listen to whole albums, and so I'm really happy that I do that. But at the same time, oftentimes, like I was going through trying to find new music, and so I've listened to probably over half of Andrew from Tales of the Crate, his top 100, and have found a lot of new stuff. And it was Spotify that helped me find a lot of that stuff and determine whether I liked it or not. When it comes to vinyl, though, here's the crazy thing. When I listen to music, rarely is it on vinyl. I love collecting vinyl, and I don't mind taking out a record and putting it on. I like that process. Here's the thing with me about vinyl. I have so much that I need to listen to, whether I buy it new and I'm listening. I have this strict grading system, and so this year, because of the gradings that I have, I'm trying to look for an example. Let's do this. This is an example. This has all of the information I could ever possibly want on that specific album, including where I got it, how much I paid for it, what was it worth when I graded it, what's the quality of it, the pressing quality, all of that stuff. And so I have a certain number of stuff I've either bought, or that stack of stuff that I don't know if I really want to listen to. And so there's a lot of analytics when it comes to listening to vinyl for me, unless I've already graded it. If I've already graded it, I can enjoy the album, but oftentimes I just don't sit down and listen. I always have something to do, and so I listen to it within the background, and so I really don't get to enjoy it. I need to do that more. So this grading, it can be very tedious, and I find while it helps me in the long run, it's really kind of tedious. So I find myself not listening to vinyl all that much, and I track how many records I grade a year, or what I've graded so far this year. I started at the number 500 on January 1st, and I'm now on 955 or 54. So I've graded 450 some albums this year. That's a lot. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's a lot of time that's spent being analytical and judging whether I like it or don't like it, or this or that, writing down what songs I like on it or don't like on it. Well, if I don't like on it, I just don't mark it down. Anyway, all of that to say, to me right now, because I want to grade my collection this way, listening to vinyl means a lot of work for me. And so I choose to listen to it on Spotify oftentimes, and it's more convenient. I have headphones. I have a roommate, so I don't want to be really loud. But when he's gone, there are times that I just cut loose and I listen to a great album that I know I love, and I go back to that comfort zone. And another thing about the comfort zone is, as I'm going back into this comfort zone, my comfort zone is bigger because I know the VC. I know people in the VC have taught me about new bands, and there are so many things like the OCs and Eagles of Death Metal, and yeah, those are two bands that I can think of. There are so many things. Buddy Guy, blues, and Muddy Waters, and Art Blakey just made a video on a gift from Paul. Thank you again, Paul. So all of these artists are now kind of a part of me, and I have the wonderful opportunity to get to know these albums, and that moves to my next point, the bonding portion. Boy, that flowed really nicely. I didn't even plan that. Bonding is all about intimacy, and as I was thinking about this and posted to Kempin's video, I kind of thought of albums as people, and in the case of people, just in real life, I either like them or I don't, or I'm kind of about them. And people that I like become my friends. People that don't, well, some of them become my enemies. I hope not too many of them, but I just don't want to hang out with the people that I just don't bond with, that I don't share something with. And so this intimacy of spending time, which this is the thing that made me the happiest when you said that I just want to spend time. Once a day I want to listen to this new Paul McCartney album and see if I fall in love with it, just like I did, Ram and his other albums way back in the day when I was a kid. And that's what I love to do. And that's why I find myself going to my comfort zone so many times, is because I love those albums. I love them. I fell in love with them for one reason or another. Here are a couple examples. I'll go to this first. If you watch my channel, it's no surprise, and as many times as I've shown them, I can't believe I don't get more, more flack for this. But Queens of the Stone Age, one of my favorite groups. I mentioned here in the VC a couple times that I learned about this group from a video game, Midnight Club, released in 2005, and the song was Little Sister, which was off of Lullabies to Paralyze, their 2005 album. That was the only thing I had heard, and so I always told the story of 2010, I picked this up. Well, I picked this up used. I don't know, I'll take a picture of this sticker here, because there's a date on the sticker. The sticker date is May 21st, 2013. I was wrong. I picked this up sometime in May 2013. I can't imagine, this was in the used bin. I can't imagine that Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf, would stay in the used bin for very long. I say that to say that it was 8 years before I really picked up an album by them from listening to the first song on a video game. And looking at this album, I mean, I bought this album on vinyl about 2 years ago, and I paid a pretty penny for it. And looking at this now, when I listened to the CD for, a good amount of time and kind of got intimate with it, I didn't get intimate with all of it. You think so the first song, but I feel like a millionaire, that's what I call it. It's a long sentence. But I feel like a millionaire. I liked it, but it was kind of, I'll skip over that sometimes. No One Knows I loved. First It Giveth I loved. The Sky Is Falling I loved. I found that any song that I could harmonize with by singing out loud, I loved. Go With the Flow, loved it. Gonna Leave You, Do It Again. God Is in the Radio. Those are, I forgot to I lost track of how many. I think there's like 14 or 15 tracks on this album, and I liked half of them. Yet I spent a couple $100 on the vinyl. So apparently and it's kind of funny that I listened to the vinyl, and I'm like, oh gosh, I really don't like that song. I don't really like that song either. Why did I get this? So now I dug this out because I'm driving my parents' car, and I'm forcing myself to listen to this. Kind of like what you're doing with Paul McCartney's new album. And I'm really falling in love with this. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite album. A lot of people think that this is their best work. I don't think so. But I'm falling in love with this. I'm learning. I'm becoming more intimate with it. And so yeah, this is one example. And another, Queens of the Stone Age, that I bonded with immediately. I bought not the album version, but the CD version a couple of months after. I want to say maybe November, maybe October of 2013, and loved this album. And for some reason, I really bonded with this album. This is one of the first albums that I actually listened to the lyrics, and the lead singer, I wanted to read up, I wanted to dive into the lyrics. Why did he write that? Why did he, was he feeling something at the time? And over the course of about 2 years ago, 2015 or so, I really dug into the life of Josh Homme. Found out that it was around 2010 or 2011, he pretty much died for a few minutes and then was brought back to life. Kind of almost like a life-changing event. I might have this wrong, but it got to the point where he didn't know himself anymore. He was music. He was all about performing, all about creating, and he didn't want to do it anymore. And I've told this story before also. And 2011, I had a life-changing experience as well for me. A bad breakup really kind of got me thinking, like, where's my life heading? And what do I really enjoy? And so the things that I enjoy were kind of stripped away. It was a form of depression, and it's very familiar to what I think Homme went through as well. And so I learned this maybe in 2015. I bought this album in 2013. It was released in it was released in 2013 as well. So this is why I bonded with it. Like 2011, I was going through some stuff. 2010, 2011, he was going through some stuff. He wrote that stuff in this album, and I just automatically bonded with it. Now, our stuff was different. I didn't die. I didn't have drug addictions. I didn't have this or that. I didn't have surgery, whatever. But I lost myself. He lost himself. He was trying to gain it back. I was trying to gain it back. And so this album is in my top 10 because of it. I don't think I've ever connected with an album more than this. And yeah. So fast forwarding to 2017, Queens of the Stone Age released Villains. And good album. It's a good album. dancey. Some of the songs I really do like. The Evil Has Landed is a really good song. What else? Head Like a Haunted House, that's really good. Feet Don't Fail Me Now. But none of this really stands out to me. It's more than background noise. It's more than that. I pick this out. Every now and then I have a desire to listen to this. I picked this out just yesterday and was jamming to it. Pretty loud. It does jam really well. And I'm getting to learn this. I'm becoming more and more intimate. But this is a different person than that other album. And that other album will always be my favorite. And this is maybe more of an acquaintance than a true bonding friend. So that was another thought. Another album, I'll do one more album. I am a huge, huge fan. I mean, my channel art, my icon for for at least for now anyway, as I make this video, is the Chemical Brothers. I am a huge fan of everything they do. And learned about them in '96, bought their first album soon after that. They had they had several remixes with other electronic artists in the day, like Prodigy. They even did some work with Primal Scream and those kind of, and they had probably almost 10 EPs before their '97 release of Dig Your Own Hole, which was their second album. And fun fact about me and the Chemical Brothers, besides their first album, because I didn't know about them when they released their first album in '95, I have bought every single album the day it's released. They tried to sneak one by me. Their third album, which was released in '99, their third album was Surrender. I saw a music video on MTV, and I was like, oh yeah, it was, what was the name of the song? Let Forever Be, I think it was. I'm like, I really like this song. Who is this? I'm like, the Chemical Brothers. How dare they not call me up and tell me they released a new album? I literally did say that. Drove to the mall. I think it was Sam Goody at the time, and picked up the album immediately. So I also have 3 to 4 copies of every one of their albums. I'm not exaggerating. 3 to 4 copies. 2015, it took them 5 years to release an album. 2015, they released Born in Echoes. Do you know how many times I've listened to this album in the last 3 years? 4 times. I bought this album on July 15th, 2015, the day it was released. I've yet to open it. It's not open. I have another copy of this. I have the limited edition pressing from the UK of this as well. It's also not opened. I'm not upset. I just don't connect with this album. Their single, which is Go, tremendous, absolutely amazing song. Just Bang, not too bad. Some of their stuff sounds like their older works, and I like that. But really, when I listen to this album, I want to be listening to something else they've done. I didn't connect with this. Sometimes an artist or a group goes a different direction, and it's been 5 years. I didn't move that same direction. Maybe it's they should release more albums, that we move that direction, because it isn't as pronounced. I don't know. Yeah, I pull this album out maybe once or twice a year. Obviously I don't listen to the vinyl, I listen to it on Spotify or the CD. I think I bought the CD as well. So I have 3 copies of this. 2 on vinyl and one on CD. And I listen to this once or twice a year. And I've listened to this 4 times, and it's still... I'm reaching the time where it's probably good to listen to it to a 5th time. But I'm... I just don't connect with that album, and I don't really have any more to say about that. But anyway, those are some of my thoughts. I hope it's not rambling. I do enjoy thinking of albums as people, and this opportunity to be intimate and get to know people through the work that they did, the artists through the work that they did. And sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. And every album is a different person because the artists who create it are different than when they last created something. And sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And guess what? That's okay. It's all right. The Chemical Brothers, I loved every single one. Until Born in Echoes, I loved every single album of theirs except for one song, and that was Setting Sun on their 2nd album. And I kind of bent myself to like that song. And finally I did. It's one of my favorites now. But I was like, I'm a Chemical Brothers fan. I have to love everything the Chemical Brothers. So I totally get what you say about Paul McCartney. Totally get it. And because I have those same thoughts. And so I'm getting into my, right now I'm telling myself, I guess I'm telling you as well, it's all right that you don't like something. I'm saying it to myself. Brad, it's okay if you don't like that Born in Echoes album. You might be a little heated that they released something that you don't like. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop buying their stuff on day one. Day one, I'll be in line and I'll buy their stuff, and I hope that I like it better than Born in Echoes. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Jeff, again, love your channel. I don't get to see it as often as I'd like. I do need to watch some more of your videos. That's another thing. Another point. We have a limited amount of time in our day. You mentioned this. And I found that, watching VC videos, I can only listen to one thing at a time. And it's a balance. Watching VC videos pulls me away from making VC videos, pulls me away from editing VC videos. That's a good amount of time too. My videos take a good amount of editing. It's the rambling that I'm doing. I have to chop all of that out. Anyway, it also takes me away to listening to my comfort zone music, the stuff that I know that I love, and listening to new music and all of that stuff. And everything else in life that I have to do. We're all busy. We're all busy. And my buying habits, I'm going to be buying less 2019. I need to, for financial reasons. But the one thing that I'm actually looking forward to is, majority of this stuff behind me, I would say about half of it I don't even know I have. I bought so many records so quickly, and I like them. I only listened to them once. And 2019, I think I'm going to make it a goal to just start going through the shelf and listening to stuff. Not get rid of, not get through it all, but that's a goal for me. I think it's going to be a good goal for me. Really decide, do I want this in my collection? Or should I get rid of it? Have someone else enjoy it? That kind of stuff. Or do I want to listen to this once a day for a full month or a week? Something like that. Anyway, now I'll get to closing this video. It's been far too long. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope it made sense. And I also hope that you're listening to great music, whether you're in your comfort zone, whether you're listening to new music, that you're enjoying it, that you're bonding with it. And yeah, Take care, everyone.